Hey guys, welcome to the Canada Puck Podcast, your weekly recap of what's going on in the world of sports, specifically hockey, and even more specifically, just the hockey in Canada. That's really all anyone cares about anyways. I'm your co-host, Mick. You can find me on Twitter at ProfitMick, and I'm joined every episode by my lovely and talented co-host,
Grant, on Twitter at Fourth Line Sports. Listeners are in for a special treat. Many years ago, some loyal listeners may remember, we used to be sponsored, air quotes, by Metamucil because we were so regular. It feels more like we got the poops this year, where sometimes it's a little okay, we squirt out a little other times. We don't even know where we're at some days, so...
Yeah, our digestive system isn't something to put in a magazine, so...
Anyways, Metamucil's for old people anyways. We're more Malort. What's a greasy alcohol? What's a greasy liquor nobody tolerates?
Peach schnapps.
I mean, you've obviously never been to a high school dance, but sure. We're the peach schnapps of podcasts. Ooh. Sometimes we squeeze out a little bit. Sometimes we don't.
There we go. So we're back at it this week. I think this is probably our last official show for the year. We didn't talk before this, but we're talking now, so that's pretty exciting. I think either next week after Christmas, holiday special, regroup in January.
I'm already starting to see it pop up on some of the national television networks where games of the year are already a thing.
Nice.
I think sometimes it's fun to get a little tipsy and talk about what a terrible year it was.
I'm always down for that. I'm always down for a little this was awful. But because this is a regular show, if this is your first, welcome. We're gonna roll through kind of the Canadian teams through the reverse orders of the standings. Play a little puck doku. Give some picks because we're doing it on a weeknight, not a Saturday morning. We can recap how things went last week and go from there. So. Is that fair? Everything off our chest? We're satisfied with the state of the affairs?
I don't know how everybody else is feeling listening to this, but I've got a half chub.
I think the only thing that we could touch on was minutes after we hung up the phone last time, after I was decked all in my Jays stuff, we got to watch the heart of Blue Jays Nation get ripped out with Ohtani signing with the Dodgers. It's pretty funny. I'll be honest with you. In the timeline of things, I kind of assumed that's where he was going, but then I proceeded to have 2 or 3 people contact me being like, "Oh, this is the worst. Can't believe this." And I was like, "You're the morons that bought into the hype to begin with, so I don't feel sympathy for you."
Okay, so if we're going to dig into this, let's talk about it, because you have to think that this probably was an agency ploy. You can't help but think, maybe Ohtani's representatives were like, let's leak this to some poor schlub of a Blue Jays reporter who's going to announce it to everybody and then use that to drive up the cost with the Dodgers. And the Dodgers were like, hell yeah, we're going to pay you in 20 years.
Well, that's a whole other side tangent. Just after the initial news being broke, yeah, okay, cool. There were some false reports. People in Toronto got their hopes up. Toronto media is very toxic, as we can appreciate as Canadian sports fans. We're like, wow, Toronto media being the worst. Yeah, makes sense, part and parcel. Later in the week, the whole deferral thing is just, what an absolute nightmare for the MLB. What a terrible look this is.
Did you see some of the memes that were popping up? Specifically, it's not even a meme. It was a video where they cut some new audio onto the Wolf of Wall Street. Have you seen this one?
No.
Oh, God. I will send it to you.
Right.
It's plastered all over my timeline. I don't even have to look for it. It's just it's perfect. And it is the perfect tongue-in-cheek, 2023 send-off that everybody needs to see. It's just, anyways, I won't do it justice. I don't want to ruin anything for you. I will send it to you so you can enjoy it.
All right. Solid. And maybe that's something we talk into year-end show. I feel like that's something we could dive a little bit more into. Maybe our feelings digest. But for today, we got to talk about some hockey that's happened in the last 4 days. Okay, 4 full days since we recorded. So maybe something happened. Oh, look at that. Reverse standings heading up. Got to 29th, where we see the Ottawa Senators. What do you think the Ottawa Senators have done since we last spoke? Today is the 14th. I think we last spoke on the 9th or 8th or something like that. So, Ottawa, what have you done? You beat Detroit 5-1, and then you lost to Carolina 4-1. So,
I know what they're not doing, and that is more fisticuffs like we saw in Florida. I don't know what I want from this team right now. I think I'd rather see, if you're not like a Ricky Bobby approach, if you're not first, you're last. So if you're down, 3-2, 4-2, a few minutes left in the third, why don't you just let Brady Tkachuk go do Brady Tkachuk things? Be like, this is the energy and the entertainment of NHL old, and I think, if nothing else, we benefit watching it.
There you go. We did talk a little bit about coaching changes is maybe like the next change to the Senators. They just can't seem to get out of the basement, really. I was looking back in their schedule for a little while, and they've basically played 500 hockey. They win a game, they lose a game. They win a game, they lose a game. They win two, they lose two. Like, almost without fail, kind of going back throughout their schedule. So they just have to kind of start getting over the hump, putting something together, and seeing kind of what this team has, right? Because if this team is a talented group of guys that play 500 hockey forever, I don't know. My optimism in Ottawa's less so. Now, looking at the schedule, they've got, midway through December, you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 games left on the schedule. So before we talk about them next, 9 games, is that a make or break point of a season potentially coming up here?
It's a lot of hockey to play in a condensed amount of time. So yeah, you did. It's too early. It would be, let's call it an inflection point of the season where things are either going to go bad or they're going to continue. They're either going to go bad or they're going to improve. And then one way or another, we're going to know what this team is in January. But I'm just kind of like thinking of Canadian hockey teams of yore. This team kind of reminds me somewhere between Vancouver and Winnipeg. Winnipeg's enjoyed a little bit of a success. Vancouver, not so much, but there's a lot of like comparables, analogous pieces, and the Sens kind of seem to have sandwiched themselves in between those squads where they're not as bad as Vancouver. We've seen Vancouver be, but they're also not as good as we've seen Winnipeg be. So I don't know. Maybe this is normal trajectory. Maybe it's not. But I think you're right. The next few weeks are going to reveal a lot about what this team is and what to expect from them before the end of the year.
Solid. So we'll probably have a better idea coming back from the break. So that's pretty exciting. However, back to the standings. The standing roulette. We go up until we see a Canadian team and then we feel shame. Oh, at 25, the Calgary Flames. Barely. So with the Senators, just I guess the last piece there is they've only played 23 games. So the reason they have a jam-packed schedule is because they've got to make up some ground, whereas everyone around them has 28 to 30 games. Whereas the Calgary Flames, 29 games. They're only 4 points up on the Senators, so we probably will see some type of change, just law of averages, right? Their 500 hockey will bump them up a little bit. But the Calgary Flames kind of feel like, what have you done? Oh, you guys have been awesome. You lost to the Devils, and then you lost to the Avalanche, and then last night you lost to the Vegas Knights in OT. You get the Wild tonight. Tampa, oh, that's a Florida. LA next weekend. Oh my gosh. Is this the end of the Flames season?
It's not getting better, I'll say that much. And I don't know how close attention you were paying because it was Monday night and there was 2 Monday night football games on. Check the score. I think it was end of the second. They either had a 2 or 3 goal lead, and they proceeded to blow it, losing 6-5 to the Avs. Like, what are you doing, Calgary? Things like those are just games you need to win. Those are points you need to take with you.
And that McKinnon goal, like the winning goal, too, on that Monday night affair, I saw the highlight of that, like dying seconds, and you give up a breakaway. Like, what are you doing? That's horrendous. Absolutely horrendous hockey they're playing.
Imagine if that happened. I know that's tough for Flames fans. Imagine if that happened in a playoff game. Like, there would be unrelenting chatter about what a terrible squad the Flames are. But it's just a meaningless game on a Monday night, and everybody's like, it's hockey in December.
On the plus side, no Calgary Flames fans should panic them blowing a tie game in the playoffs. So,
moot point. Doesn't even matter.
I don't even think it matters because like it's probably fun. So with that though, those are the bottom feeder teams. Those are the teams that are just terrible. I'm like, Senators, we wanted to love you, but you're making it so goddamn hard. So hard. And the Flames, well, we like to make fun of you, so I'm glad you're in the bottom. However, though, we got to play a little Puck Doku challenge. Oh, boy. So we did this golf style. We're trying to do three rounds, 2 picks each, lowest percentage or total percentage of our choices. So I've just logged into Puckdoku for the first time today. Across the top axis, we have Tampa Bay, the Red Wings, and an 80-point season. And then down the sides, we have Anaheim, Chicago Blackhawks, and the New York Islanders. So, Grant, I think you're the clubhouse leader. You get to tee off first.
All right. Well, this is an interesting one. I just taken a look at this. Obviously, my attention immediately went to 80-plus points because I feel like, especially if we're going 80s, like the glory days of hockey when points just kind of flowed naturally, you could go in a few different directions for people that probably aren't on the top of mind. And there's somebody in particular, because Patrick Kane, Jonathan Toews, maybe even like Duncan Keith, Patrick Sharp, that era of Chicago Blackhawks kind of dominates people's mind. But there was Denis Savard, who did some damage for the Blackhawks, I believe, early on in his career.
In 1980 to 97?
Yeah, that Denis Savard.
Ooh, it's 7%. Okay. That one does seem like the easiest category. And you're right, like 80 points is such an odd threshold that there's definitely been some scrubs somewhere along the line that have got to that point total. Where we're like, oh, okay, this is going to make this a little simpler. So we want a forward. Did he ever get there with Anaheim? There were so many players. Islanders. Unless there's like another one that an obvious choice that stands out here. Is that the best one to go for? 7%. Might come back from that. I don't know if I can like stand. No, that's not what I'll do. What I'm going to pick, I'm gonna completely go different. I'm gonna go Tampa Bay. I'm gonna go Chicago, and I'm gonna go back to the well. I always think goalies. Grant mentioned it in the last podcast. That's the best strategy to do. I'm gonna go with Stanley Cup champion Nikolai Khabibulin. I believe had a stint there, and I'm kind of hoping no one remembered that. So. Nikolai Khabibulin. There we go. 11%. All right, Grant's got the lead, but only 4%. So
keeping it close. I was so worried with your fucking lead up. I was deciding between 2 squares, and I was like, "You son of a bitch! If you do this." Anyways, I know what my next play is going to be. Obviously, we got to get through a couple teams first.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Cool, awesome. So with that, it goes back to the standings. Grant can enjoy his 4% cushion because I'm coming for it. We're scrolling up past the Buffaloes. 22 overall. The Edmonton Oilers. You guys still are terrible. Although I feel like they're on like some type of win streak, aren't they? Like a 8 game win streak or something like that.
You took the words right out. How terrible were the Oilers where an 8-game win streak bumps you to 22nd in the standings?
They might have been 28th at some point, or like maybe even 30th. So, yeah, okay.
Yeah. And, yeah, I may have jumped the gun. Let me be the bigger person here, and let me concede something. I may have jumped the gun with the coaching change. I do have a soft spot in my heart for Woodcroft. I think that he is still an NHL caliber coach. And I still believe, it's still my contention, Ken Holland, a bunch of below-the-line actions when he came to hiring this new coach. I don't like Ken Holland. I think he's fucking terrible. I've written probably half a dozen articles on why the Oilers should fire him. Anyways, Ken Holland's on his way out. He's done after this year. That's what's keeping me sane. But what I will say is this Knobloch has unlocked this new leveled up version of the Oilers, at least analytically. Edmonton's just absolutely fucking trouncing their opponents right now. Their expected goals forced ratings have gone up to 60% or higher in 7 of their last 8 games. So this isn't puck luck. This isn't just like, they were bad, now they're good. This is kind of the truest version of what we expect the Oilers to be. And I think what we've seen over the last 8 games is hopefully more a reflection of what this team's capable of than what we saw through the first 20 games.
Yeah, okay, that's fair. I mean, yeah, 8-game win streak in the middle of the season is definitely going to help just kind of heal all wounds, right? Winning heals a lot. They do have Tampa Bay, Florida coming up, which in theory should be kind of stronger competition. Yeah, you beat up on the Wild, you beat up on the Blackhawks. You caught the Hurricanes during some terrible downward spiral where like every Canadian team was just a juggernaut team to them, right? So it's not to throw salt in your wound.
You know what it is?
But
it's strippers. American players don't get to see vaginas in there. So when you come to Canada, I guarantee you that's a fucking priority. Montreal, yes. You know what? Even, guess what? Calgary and Edmonton, you don't get this type of entertainment in the States. So don't discount the value of bottomless stripper, because that's going to play a role in all this.
There you go. And I mean, there's always peaks and valleys too, right? Like imagine if we listened to a Hurricanes fan discuss something with you, like their one fan, he might be also like infuriated with the state of the affairs of this team, and he wants, a rebuild. And I'm sure it happens in other markets, right? Like places like Carolina cares about hockey, right?
Yeah, they do.
I don't know if I believe that. All right, Oilers, keep it up. Yeah, sure. And let's see, up one spot to the Belle Provence Montreal Canadiens at 21. Still in the 20s. Still lots of Canadian teams. They beat Buffalo last week in a shootout, lost to Nashville on Sunday, and then lost last night in a shootout to the Penguins. Cool. They got the Islanders on Saturday. Islanders, you have a terrible logo. You really need to update that. It's terrible.
Maybe this is okay. We're gonna have to include this in our conversation, year-end conversation. I was having this thought about the Islanders earlier. Probably one of the more premier color schemes. When I look at the Islanders color schemes, I'm like, yeah, you know what? This is a good look. But their logo, I'm like,
Yeah.
At least with the Fisherman logo, they tried something different. Like they tried mixing it up. I don't know. I agree. If we did a top 5 color schemes, or Islanders. If we did bottom 5 logo, probably Islanders.
Okay. Yeah, cool. Yeah, there's a couple teams that just like don't have it. Like I don't know if they think they're such a high vintage potentially, right? That they're like, oh, we can't change this logo. It's like ingrained in us. But I don't know. Maybe it's time to mix it up. Looks kind of gross. Doesn't excite me when I see it. So.
But I will say this was probably the most productive Montreal Canadiens segment we've done all year.
Yeah.
Talking about the Islanders.
I have nothing on the Abs. Let's see. Can we point? Yeah. They're minus 22 goals differential in the season. That's something.
This team is probably higher than where I thought they would be. Mm-hmm. But I think they would be a lot higher if they had any kind of semblance of goaltending. And I don't know why everybody's all on the Canadiens' dicks about, oh yeah, good goaltending. They have subpar goaltending. Yeah. And they would be in a much better spot if they had it. I don't even want to bring Carey Price into the conversation because my heart can't handle that. But somebody on that elite end of the spectrum.
Okay, cool. So the last two teams we talked about, basically trash, but not as trashy as the first two, which means we get a second round of puck doku. Now our brains have been turning. That's why we were falling all over words, stumbling. We had no analysis on Montreal. It has nothing to do with you, Montreal. We love you. We absolutely adore La Belle Provence. We were just thinking so much about hockey, puck doku stuff, obviously. That's why we sucked. All right, Grant, second shot of the board. You got a 4% lead. Are you gonna...
So this one, I think it's gonna be like 5% or lower. I think.
Okay.
And it's a goaltending pick, because when you think of Dominik Hasek, you think of probably his time in Buffalo, probably a little bit of his time in Detroit. He played in Ottawa, but I'm willing to bet most people, maybe not 95%, maybe that was overestimating it, but at least 80% of people have forgotten about his time with the Chicago Blackhawks. I believe he started his career there. So, in the middle square, I'm going Dominik Hasek.
Dominik Hasek. 5%! Ooh, baby. All right, well, I'm going to stay in the vein of the goalie. I'm pretty sure he played with the Islanders. I know he had like a stint right at the end there of his career with Tampa Bay. So I might have guessed this one before, but I believe Evgeny Nabokov somehow ticks off the Islanders square. I'm not sure if maybe he went there kind of again later in his career, chasing cups or something like that, but I believe Evgeny Nabokov will get me a low percentage I'm getting Yevgeny Nabokov. 8%. No.
God damn. I don't know where the fuck 8% of people assumed Nabokov had played.
Sure.
Jesus.
Sure. All right. So that gives you another 3%. You got 4, so you have a 7% lead going into the final guess. All right. Cool. Good for us.
Well, yeah, I think you got robbed on that one. But anyways, we'll see. I'm excited to see how this ends.
Yeah. No, this is close. This is a close one. This is like a... We'll see. I'm not going to look again. I should, because then I can help make a thought while we talk about this next team. We have to scroll for a little while, though. So we're like through the 20s. We might actually get right into the single digits. There you go. Look at that. We have to get the single digits at 9th, and we get the Toronto Maple Leafs. I didn't put up their schedule. Oh, no. Toronto, your website's terrible. Their head story is they've signed Noah Gregor. Did I see that right? Noah Gregor to a 1-year deal. That was definitely this summer. And then their top story is Toronto Maple Leafs complete trade with Vancouver Canucks. And I saw that last week, and I was like, that's weird. That was like the Sam Lafferty trade before the season started is what they're advertising. So,
this is... Are you getting punked? Or is somebody just stealing your data off something? This seems fake.
Like the NHL Leafs website? No, it has to be real. I don't know. Powered by Rogers?
Is it mapleleafs.eur? Like, are you on some European website?
.ru. There you go. All right, Russia. Oops. Oopsie doopsie. Leafs, since last we talked, they got a shutout when Nashville came to town. They went to the New York on the dad's trip the last 2 games. Lost in overtime where John Tavares got his 1,000th career point against the Islanders on Monday night. And then Tuesday night they they put a smackdown on the New York Rangers 7-3.
This might be another Are we talking about inflection points? Maybe that's the theme of this episode. Are the Toronto Maple Leafs turning things around?
It could be. Potentially we're seeing that, right? I know in the last couple games we saw kind of a complete effort Saturday night. Monday night we saw kind of a up and down performance, right? They started out really hot. They let the Islanders come back. They were able to tie it up kind of at the end in a pretty exciting moment before they lost pretty quickly in overtime, and then put on an absolute dominating performance against the Rangers the next night, and like down your top 3 defensemen. You've got your 3rd string goalie due to an illness in nets, and you come away with those 2 big 3 points out of those 2 New York affairs. There were some very, very elite players from the top guys. Mitch Marner had a solid performance. Austin Matthews was on fire. He had something like 11 shots on net. He was all over every second shift. He was out there doing something, making a goal, right? And if you see that level, that top percent level of Austin Matthews, the sky's the limit with this team, right? It's when he takes a month off and doesn't do anything and still gets 4 hat tricks, that you're like, maybe he's not the best player in the world. And then he has performances like Tuesday night where you're like, yeah, if he did that all the time, there'd be almost no denying how just dominating he is, right? So it's still that little bit of consistency, but that's kind of the story of the core 4, right?
That is definitely, and I've heard them speak explicitly about workload management, we'll call it, last year, where they said, we don't have to be on for 82 games a year. We're just going to ride the ebbs and flows, so we're peaking in April. So what you're describing is a strategy they have spoken openly about, and that is, you know what? Actually, in New York on a Monday night, people are probably going to be paying attention to the Giants. Nobody actually cares about the Islanders. Rangers on a Tuesday, maybe you get a little bit more affection or a little bit more attention. But this strategy of maybe, taking your foot off the pedal sometimes hasn't paid off yet.
Yeah.
So I'm just wondering, what do the Maple Leafs need to go over the edge? Is it just, and maybe it's too early to have this conversation, because really their limitations or they're falling off a cliff in the playoffs. So maybe it's not a December conversation.
No, I don't think so. One thing to allude to that we just mentioned last week was the Treliving effect. So with the injury to Martin Jones to Wall last week, right? He's week to week with an ankle injury. You get Samsonov back in net on Saturday. Then he comes down with an illness. having Martin Jones in your system, that he can provide just a level of competency, he can get you a couple wins, he can get you 3 out of 4 points, is absolutely huge. And that's something that the Leafs haven't seen in previous years. As soon as their third string goalie the last couple seasons, as soon as Dubas put a guy on waivers, someone would be claiming him, right? Almost without fail. And I wonder if that is the perk of having someone who's like a Brad Treliving, who isn't just despised throughout the rest of the league as your GM, right? Where guys kind of like, you know what? No, we'll miss this waiver claim. Yeah, it could help our team, but like, you know, we have kind of an unwritten code of GMs that, you know, the good guys, we don't screw over, we don't try and stab in the back. So I wonder if there is some type of benefit to just having a more neutral party in the front office, right? Kyle Dubas, we saw for years, try and absolute fleece other GMs, make them, look bad, essentially, right? And I wonder if there was some type of unwritten GM code that every GM secretly kind of hated Dubas, and any deal they did with him is extremely frustrating. And to get back at him, it was always like a waiver pickup, which could be one of those like death by 1,000 cuts, right? So the fact that they were able to keep Martin Jones, even though same situation, he was sent on the waivers earlier this year. He stayed in the organization. Is just going to be kind of help them through this kind of troubled time of their season. We can't understate that. And I'm curious to see going forward if we see, I don't know, it's hard to keep, I guess we'll have to keep tabs and like tallies on just Treliving's moves, right? Like,
I still think they should fire him. Fuck that guy.
Okay, all right. Go Boston Pizza. So that was one. Let's see. Anything else? We have to go up 2 points. So now we're into the 7th in the league, and we get the Winnipeg Jets. I feel like the Winnipeg Jets, early season success. Yeah, your Winnipeg Jets website also doesn't seem like it's like up to date. It's weird. Why aren't these? Do you think just no one goes to winnipegjets.com? Is that what the issue is? We're like,
I wouldn't assume most people in Winnipeg have computers, in fact.
Okay, all right. So the Jets didn't play last Saturday. They did play Sunday. They beat the Ducks. They lost to the Sharks. And then they beat the Kings. That makes sense.
Hell of a trip. So those that Sharks-Kings back-to-back, it just speaks to the value of Connor Hellebuck. Connor Hellebuck was in net for the Kings game, and this was not a different squad, but a more productive squad, we'll call it, with Hellebuck between the pipes on the second night of a back-to-back. Kind of strange. But did you know Kyle Connor's not playing? I didn't realize this. He's been injured, some sort of injury. What's his prognosis? Is he done for an extended period?
Yeah, he went knee-on-knee with Strome? I think Ryan Strome on Sunday night against Anaheim. They were able to come back and win that game, which is... I think I almost picked it in our picks pool, so I was like paying attention to it. When I got back to the sheets, I actually hadn't picked it. It was just on my list as like the next one up, so I was like, oh, okay, I didn't really care. Didn't seem that severe, but knee on knees, they kind of, this guy goes down and he's like grimacing in pain. 7 to 8 weeks, I think, is the prognosis that he's out for, so they're without their leading scorer for next 2 months. So luckily they do have a good cushion, because I think things might get a bit tighter here in Winnipeg, right? Maybe their depth is going to overcome this, but I don't know. I think Kyle Connor's pretty important part to make, or one of the important pieces that helps kind of this team go forward, right? So
he 100%. I'm not saying this team's doomed without him,
no,
but he drives the offensive production without question, and they are already leading too heavily into Hellebuck. So when I came across this tidbit, it was late last night. I was like, well, in fact, I had bet on them to get past the Kings, not knowing that Connor was out, and then seeing them get, I know they have other pieces. What I'm trying to say is there's going to be increased reliance on Connor Hellebuck, and I don't think that's necessarily a good thing.
No, not at all. Looking at their schedule kind of going ahead, they get the Avalanche. Well, that's a pretty good matchup, actually. It's a pretty good heavyweight battle there on Saturday. Canadians, Red Wings, Bruins next week, and then Blackhawks, Wild? So actually, yeah, how long did I say? 7 to 8 weeks? So we call that as 1, 2, 3, 4. You get through half of this and you play 2 good teams. Maybe things aren't that bad, actually.
And this is one of those sky is falling moments where it's like, oh, God, we're without our best player.
Yeah.
And that's going to be the refrain, but probably not.
Yeah. look ahead and you see like the Blackhawks and the Wild twice, and you're like, oh, okay, great. Okay, well, that, whoo, all right, whoo, baby. So with that, though, we only have one team left. The best team in all of Canada. The suspense is killing us. Just like, what's going to happen Puck Doku? Am I going to get my first win of the season? Grant has a, what is that, 7% lead, final round. See, let's make some magic.
So this last segment isn't coming super naturally to me. This last picks rather.
Mm-hmm.
I keep getting tunnel vision towards the 80 points, and I'm thinking there's two I know for a fact on the Ducks. There's one on the Ducks where I'm like,
Okay.
I should say there's two on the Ducks. There's like 4 or 5 on the Ducks where I'm like, I know these people have done it, all of whom are probably a little higher percentage. So I'm trying to debate that. There's also an Islanders player who I think, well, I know they got 80 plus points, but I'm a little concerned that it will be the most popular pick. And I don't want to give you any answers.
Do you want me to go first? Do you want some tension? Do you want the suspense? Because I have a guess. Oh no, but it's a valuable square too. No, I think. So do you want to succeed your first pick?
You know what? That's fine. I'm going to pull the trigger with this one.
All right.
I know that there's somebody on the Ducks Red Wings where I just like, I want to play it, but I don't. So anyways, I'm going 80 plus points. I'm going Ducks. I'm hoping people defer to the Ryan Getzlaffs, the Corey Perrys, maybe even the Timo Solanis of the world. And I hope who's lost in this is Paul Kariya, because I know Paul Kariya had some productive years for the Ducks.
All right, Paul Kariya. And 22%.
Ah, fuck.
All right, I got a shot here. Yeah, I'm also looking. These like individual squares, I'm just not. I'll be honest with you. I don't feel super confident that I'm going to be able to get one of them. Let's go with the Islanders. And really, I need like a 15%, under 15% for the win. Do we do something obvious? Like, let's go old school, like a Mike Bossy? Are people picking Mike Bossy, or are they picking like John Tavares?
I'm going to say those are two names that I was also debating.
All right. We're going to go with Mr. Mike Bossy and 25%. Savage Garden. 10% win. Oh, all right.
Okay, so another guy for the Islanders I was thinking, Pat LaFontaine. I don't know if this guy gets a whole bunch of, you know what, I got it open on my phone. I'll tell you right now.
Okay.
Fuck, I should have went Pat LaFontaine. 5% this guy.
Do you still have Ducks available on your phone? What is Ryan Kessler worth?
I put in Korea there.
Oh, okay. All right, maybe I'll try on my phone. And then what was your other pick? We're short one. You had something like Devils or Red Wings, Ducks?
So, this was one that I was just... Did Scott Niedermayer play with the Red Wings? I know that he played New Jersey. I know that he played Ducks. But did he have a stint with the Red Wings?
I don't think so.
Well, I'm glad I didn't play that one.
Ryan Kessler. Oh, Ryan Kessler is actually incorrect. All right, cool, great. Okay, well, that would have been my other pick, so I'm glad I didn't pick that one. I do think that, what's his face? Jonathan Bernier. That probably... Oh, no, did Bernier play for the Ducks? Oh, no, do you want to go Niedermayer or Jonathan Bernier?
It's not Niedermayer. I already cheated. I looked at Niedermayer.
So Jonathan Bernier. Bernier. 8%. Damn it.
Retrospect.
Retrospect. And I feel like there's like someone named like Keith Abe Kubel or something like that, and I kind of feel like he was a Duck in on like a Tampa Bay. So Nikolai Abe Kubel. Oh, that's incorrect. All right.
Well, I don't want to toot my own horn here, but I'm going full Oilers on a win streak in Puck Doku.
Son of a gun. But on the plus side, we get to talk about Grant's favorite hockey team of all time. We screw up to fourth, top 4 in the league, top 5. We get to the Vancouver Canucks. What have they done this week? They beat Carolina and they beat Tampa Bay. Those are actually probably pretty good teams. Yeah, okay.
I think Vancouver is one of the worst teams in the entire world, but on the topic of jerseys, to tie this back into our Montreal Canadiens / New York Islanders segment, I wish the Canucks would wear the third jerseys, like those 90s throwback, the black, orange, and red ones. We need more of that in our lives. Saw a guy wearing one of those in the mall this week. It's like, damn, I wish they would wear these more often. And that would be the most exciting part of watching the Vancouver Canucks, is seeing those jerseys again.
Cool. The old flying V. Is that the one? The V?
The one with the skate. It's like black.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, right. Cool. Awesome. Yeah, Vancouver. Have you guys done anything? No, not really. You're still just creeping around. Most games played, almost 29. Same with Colorado, and I guess Vegas has 30. And they have a little bit of a step up, but last 10, how are you guys playing? 6-4. Yeah, it sounds about right. I feel like I see the Canucks lose as much as they win at this point. So,
after we recorded last or on the weekend, I promptly went and wrote an article about why the Vancouver Canucks are not contenders. Okay. So nobody believes in them, especially me. Fuck you, Vancouver.
Yeah, it's strength of schedule. I think it's just going to come back and get you guys. I don't know. I just feel like it's going to come back and get you. But now that we've talked, you've recapped all the teams. And that's it. You're the best in the league. You have been, or best almost in Canada, almost best in the league, Vancouver. And we spent 37 seconds on you. No applause. You figured it out.
It's over.
I'm glad it's over. However, though, Grant gets to spend his spoils now. So what we get to do is pick 3 games. Grant gets a bonus game, so he gets a 4th free choice. We're going to keep tabs on how we're doing. Oh, look at that. The Blue Jackets are up 4-0 against the Leafs. Like, almost without fail at this point, if I put $5 on the Leafs to lose, they win, and the nights I don't do it, they lose. I don't know. I don't know what that means.
Well, there's a way to make this profitable, or at least maybe emotionally profitable.
Costanza it?
Yeah. There you go.
Just do the opposite. If everything I know is wrong, do the opposite, then everything is right.
Yeah. So there's a few games that I'm excited about this weekend. You mentioned it earlier, and I'm scared you're going to steal it, so I'm going to say it first. Chief among those games is the Saturday night affair between the Winnipeg Jets and Colorado Avalanche. Jets coming back from a brief, albeit productive road trip, coming back to host the Avs, one of the Central Division powerhouses. And I think Winnipeg will be ready to play in front of their empty arena. I think that we're going to see kind of a reversal of fortunes later in the month. And this is obviously just me speculating at this point. But I think that they're ready to play. Winnipeg, Colorado, excitement from start to finish, and I expect Winnipeg to prevail.
Okay, nice, awesome. Jets, were they on my list? They were not on my list. Ooh. But speaking of heavyweight bouts, we're seeing kind of 2 top 10 teams clash in the West? Let's go to the East. Let's see some powerhouse team. We scroll up to the top here at 5 o'clock our time, 7 o'clock Eastern. You get the Rangers going to the Bruins. There's 2 heavyweight teams that are slugging it out. I've seen the Rangers turn it on. I've watched a couple games thus far this season. They came back and beat Nashville. They obviously got. I watched the game when they lost to the Leafs the other night. Rangers look like a pretty good squad. I like their chances rolling into Boston on a Saturday night, knowing that this is probably going to be. This potentially could be like an Eastern final matchup right now. Both these teams are clicking. I'm going to take the Rangers though in this affair.
I like it. I'm also not sold on the Bruins. I don't know if it's an underdog complex, but I'm always happy to cheer against them. They're just like Brad Marchand, easily most hateable. But maybe another good year-end topic, most hateable athlete in all of sports. Brad Marchand's got his fucking big schnoz in that conversation.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
I will stay on Eastern Conference theme, and there's always something special about when Pittsburgh plays Toronto on Hockey Night in Canada. Every time, I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's the excitement of seeing Crosby or like... It just always feels entertaining. And my life is punctuated with timelines of when Pittsburgh plays Toronto on Saturday night. There was like an 8-2 game back in 2007, and I was like, it was just a lot of fun to watch. So,
Cool.
and since then, I think they've actually already played on Saturday night this year, and I don't even remember who prevailed. But on this occasion, I expect it to be the Pittsburgh Penguins. Toronto, as you're seeing tonight, it's just consistency, man. Goaltend. I don't know if it's like on ice product. I don't know if it's goaltending. You pay a lot more attention to this than I do. They just kind of come and go. And Pittsburgh's not as bad as their record implies. So I'm expecting them to be ready to play. Sidney Crosby's only got so many Saturday night games left in him, and I expect him to make those count. So Pittsburgh over Toronto.
Yeah, that's fair. That actually was the second game on my list. And apparently I did have Avs Jets, so I just wasn't looking at my list. So top 3 are gone. That means I only have 2 left. I have to make 2 more picks. Hopefully Grant doesn't get too sneaky. Speaking of a long, long time ago, let's go back 19 years. That's right, almost 20 years to the Stanley Cup Finals. And we get a rematch on Friday night. People in Tampa Bay, they don't even know that Calgary exists. People in Calgary hate Tampa Bay for taking their cup from them. How dare they, those buggers. Tampa Bay's won like 5 cups since then. They don't really think about you guys at all. So, but they will be thinking about you when they're cleaning the floors with you. Saturday night, that's the final game of Hockey Night in Canada. You get a rematch, 2004 Stanley Cup Finals, Leafs or Lightning's Flames. I'm going to go with Tampa Bay Lightning prevailing once again.
Interesting. So I can tell you for a fact Calgarians have not forgotten about that, and they still contend that that's the Stanley Cup they should have won. But anyways, neither here nor there. That's like a 2-beer throwing punches conversation. Where I'm going with my next pick, it's going to take us to Saturday. Probably a little, Sunday. Probably off the beaten path pick that you would expect from. It's not like an overly powerful slate, I'll say that much. But I am looking at the Senators, and I am looking at their time on this road trip, specifically against the Vegas Golden Knights. We have seen the Senators flounder at different points this season, but we've also seen them be the team that we expect them to be. And there's no better place to sharpen your teeth than against the defending Stanley Cup champions. So if Ottawa wants to prove that this is the season, or that they can turn their season around, we talked about inflection points and, the next few weeks. If we can boil it down to one specific game, and you know how my love for absolutes, it's going to boil down to how they perform against the Vegas Golden Knights. Can you actually compete? Doesn't mean you have to win. Can you compete and show that you're ready to be a top team in this league, or are you just going to continue to get steamrolled every time the odds are stacked against you? I'm hopeful the Senators respond with the former instead of the latter, and I'm taking the Sens to knock off the Golden Knights.
That's crazy. That's the 5 games that I wrote down as like games I would choose are the first 5 games that we picked. That's kind of impressive.
Interesting. Huh. If you ever doubted we're on the same wavelength, let this be validation.
Yeah, there you go. So for myself, I'm going to stay on Sunday as well. Looks like there's lots of low-hanging fruits. We have what I would consider a good team playing bad teams in lots of the affairs. So how am I going to bugger this up? Which dog is going to cover? I like... I don't know, how crazy do I want to get? Yeah, let's go crazy. Let's get this. So let's do over. Let's do the Avs over the Sharks. I don't know. I kind of feel like San Jose is terrible. Go Colorado.
Not a bad pick. That's hopefully one that leads you straight to Money Town. My last tongue-in-cheek one, because I hate this team so much, I'm going to shit on them again. Take my last opportunity to shit on the Canucks, and that is Sunday afternoon, playing a matinee in Chicago. I hope Vince Vaughn's at the game, and Connor Bedard hopefully doesn't get benched. Fuck you, Vancouver. Blackhawks roll.
I legitimately almost said Blackhawks over Canucks. I was like, if there's an upset, that one is screaming out on the page. Everything else, I'm like, just seems very wash. I can't imagine it'll be 5 wash games. So, yeah, crazy. Same wavelength for sure. Oh, now it's 5-0 Columbus. Well, I'm glad I'm recording a podcast and not watching that crappy game.
No, it's not 5-0. Come on. Well, tickle my scrotum. 5-0.
There you go. Well, doing better things with my day, I guess, and not watching the hockey game. It's a good idea for me.
Who's in net? Let's see. Samsonov. Slappy, Slawami, Samsonov?
I was way off.
I did start with an S, though.
Yeah, it's close. So without that, I think that's everything. I gave our picks. We talked about all the teams. We kind of set up a schedule for the next couple weeks, which is exciting stuff. That means I think there's only one thing left for today's show.
You are 100% right, Mick. The Canada Puck Podcast would not be the Canada Puck Podcast without our babe of the week. We're going overseas. I'm assuming this lady is Russian. She's in a picture with Ovi, but political affiliations notwithstanding, a stone cold fox. I would try and pronounce her name in the Cyrillic alphabet, but I don't even know what the fuck it means. So I will direct you to her @ and that is LIKAEGOROVA. Lakay Garova? Potentially?
Okay, yeah, okay.
Anyways, I'm assuming this is the Russian equivalent of either a puck bunny or maybe it looks like she plays a game. However she's involved in hockey, I'm glad she's involved in our lives because Lakay Garova is our babe of the week.
Schwing. Yeah, she does nice work. I think she's actually emailed me before about wanting to marry me and move to this country, so...
Well, I can't imagine old Nick with a mail-order bride.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah. Oh, look, she plays for Hors Moscow. HORS. Hors Moscow. Yeah.
Man, maybe there is something in Russia for us.
I think we might be. Okay. Oh, is she married in that picture? No, she's just a cute summer dress. Okay. Whew. Almost lost my future girlfriend and wife, actually. So.
Well, I'm not. If I have to stand up at that wedding for you, I'm not even going to lie to you. I'm taking a ride at your bride, just so you know.
It's acceptable. There's a cost involved, but like once you get through that, it's all fair in love and war. So cool. So with that, I think that wraps it up, guys. We're done at least for this year. We'll be back in still season, new year. Don't worry about the semantics. Got some type of year-end special coming up the next couple weeks. And that's it. I think we're all done. That's so exciting. Look at that.
Look at us go.
Great. Awesome. So I think before we go, though, I do have to say, party on, Grant.
Party on, Mick. We'll see everybody next week-ish.
Cool. Bye.